What's going on, you guys? I am live for the podcast. This is the Saving Your Future podcast with Calvin Ward. I haven't done one in a while, but I'm going to do a quick 15 or 20 minute show here. And I'm here today with my special guest, Vanessa Valdez. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Awesome. And Vanessa is with World System Builder, which is World Finance Group, y'all. That's who we are with, World Finance Group. And there is the green side, which is World System Builder. And we are marketing financial education. And we have a mission to educate 1 million families by 2020. And y'all, we empower you with the tools to do so, the education to do so. We give free workshops for the community to educate the community, and it's all free. You don't have to pay for it, and no one is doing it better than we are. As a matter of fact, we have some people that want to duplicate what we're doing, but guess what? You can never duplicate the original. If you know anything about DNA copying, every time the DNA is copied, there's a part of it that's lost. There's nothing quite like the original. So that's what we have on today. So let's talk about a couple of things. I'm going to get right into it. Vanessa, how are you?
I'm doing really great. Thank you.
Awesome. How was your day today?
It was very good. I had a very good start to my day, and so far it's been good.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit on today. Since it's Life Insurance Awareness Month, I want to talk about life insurance. And so I'm going to pass you the microphone. I want you to talk about either one or two types of life insurance and just tell us, first of all, why is life insurance important? So somebody that may be listening in that says, I don't have life insurance, I don't need life insurance, why am I going to leave people money when I die, yada, yada, yada. They may not be educated on insurance. As well as we're going to try to speak to the individual that may have a policy, and you know how we do. We get them policies. Before I got educated on it, we get those policies, put them in the drawer, and we don't even read the policy. So for the person that might have one and don't know what they have, and the person that says, I don't need one, why is insurance important, and why is it important to know what you have?
So life insurance is important because it's something that you're leaving behind for your family. A lot of people think they don't need it, but there are living benefits associated with a life insurance plan. And so a lot of people just aren't educated and don't understand how they work. But life insurance is something that starts to work for you and your family after you're gone. And so right now, all of the everything that you're financially paying into, like your vehicles, your mortgage, medical, college education, possibly for your children, all of those things that you're paying for, what happens if you die tomorrow? And what happens to your family?
Where's that income? Like, who's paying those bills?
Right. Who's going to replace your income? So life insurance is a replacement of your income, and you should be leaving at least 10 years of your income for your family, just so that they can get back on their feet. It's a difficult time for any family to face,
right.
And if you don't have your financial need taken care of, it makes it even harder for families.
So you're saying they already lost someone. They got to go through the emotional and mental stress of that, which takes a toll on the body, though you still got to plan a funeral, call members of the family, do all these other things. But then on top of that, they have the stress of not having enough money to pay for these things, And it's funny too, Vanessa, I sent a couple of people within the last month just a message to say, what's up? Hey, how you doing? And one of the individuals I contacted, her mother had recently died, which I did not know. And I was like, my sympathies. But they had mentioned how there was a policy that should have been active, but one of the siblings didn't continue to keep it active. And so then now there's a policy that should have had money coming in, and that money is not coming in. So how important is it, do you think, if you have a policy, number one, if you don't have one, but to get a policy, know what you have, but stay on top of that policy?
Yes, and I'll give you a good example of not knowing what you have. So we had some clients that came in to get the education, actually went through one of our workshops that taught about the different types of life insurances, went back home, pulled out their insurance policy, and what they have been paying into was actually an accidental death and dismemberment policy. And so in that situation, they thought they were covered for, if they died, their family was going to get that benefit that they had paid into. But really, to understand those policies, accidental death and dismemberment, you have to die in an accident in order for it to pay out. But there's also fine lines when it comes to those accidental death and dismemberment policies.
Like, how did you die?
How did you die?
They have the accident?
Exactly. So if you're in a car accident and then you go to the hospital and then you die of complications in the hospital, they will do anything to not pay that policy out. So if you died of, say, a heart attack in the hospital, but you had the accident, went to the hospital, didn't die of the accident, but died of complications, there's a possibility that that accidental death and dismemberment policy will not pay out. It's important for you to know. Also, there's things such as term insurances. And so sometimes you're in a 5, 10, 20-year term insurance. And what people don't understand is that it's in the name, term life insurance. So it's only active for a specific amount of years.
Right.
After those years are up, you have to re-qualify for insurance. And at that time, you're going to be older, because every day that we wake up, we're older. And insurance costs will go up as you get older. It also changes as you age, and of course with your health, whatever your health looks like after the end of that term.
You see what I'm saying? And see, these are things people don't know now. Now let me ask you something. Before you got educated on these things, did you know anything? Did you know any of what you just told me before you joined World System Builder, or someone brought financial education to you?
I did not. I actually was in term insurance, and I'd like to say that I'm fairly young, and so I was actually in a term insurance. Nothing wrong with term insurance, but in 20 years, I have a high chance of still being alive. And in 20 years, I'm not sure what my health is going to look like. And I'll be 20 years older. So that
know what I'm saying? Oh, wow. That means there's a probability that something might go awry.
Right.
And so, you just might, something might happen. And, it's funny, too, because I always say I just got my blue card. That's what we call it in the Army. The blue card means you're a retiree. But at 37, when I knew I was going to retire, my goal was not to hurry up and finish my disability and VA. Because, people in the military want to get that check. Was not to hurry. I knew I was going to get my retirement check. But before I did my VA disability, before they said you have this wrong, I wanted to get my IUL. Because you know the deal with that, right?
Yes.
That would have pushed my rating like sky high. And so I wanted to make sure I could insure myself. And I'm just slide this in there. If you're in the military, and you're listening to this, before you get out, get a policy separate from the military that will cover your family. Let's talk about people who say, I got a policy with my corporation.
Yes.
And they feel like they're good. They're in their 20s. I got a policy with, I work for, maybe they work for Walmart. I work for Target. I work for a company. Because a lot of companies these days are throwing out insurance and 401ks like it's candy.
Right.
So let's talk about that for a minute.
Yes. So what people don't understand when we actually go out into the community and they say, well, I already have life insurance. They have life insurance while they're employed. But the minute that they're no longer employed, that life insurance does not carry over with them. So they don't take it with them.
Vanessa, how could you? Are you telling me if I work for a company and, I'm young, millennial, I'm working for a company and I have insurance, or I've been working for a company for 20 years. Or 18 years, and you're thinking, because that's the strategy now, people don't know. They will catch you right before you retire and let you go, and then your benefits and everything are gone. And so you're saying, I could be a millennial, and I got this company, and they're saying, hey, you got an insurance policy, and I'm good. But if I get fired or let go, or God forbid, I can't work there anymore, you mean to tell me that policy is gone? Now I have to reapply?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, and those are things that people don't think about. You should not rely solely on your employer when it comes to life insurance. You should have a supplement to your life insurance, and that should be outside of an employer. It should be something that you have personally outside of your employer, because you're gonna that one no one can take away from you. Once you qualify for it, once you're paying into it, nobody can take that away from you. Not even when you stop working.
You see what I'm saying? And so that is awesome stuff. That is awesome stuff. So let's talk a little bit more about insurance. So those contracts, you gave us a perfect example of how you need to know what you need to know what you have.
Yes.
But and in your example, if I'm correct, somebody had a policy that was accidental death and disability and didn't know the fine print and thought it was like real insurance, but it was disability and accidental death insurance. But not knowing the in-betweens, that those companies are going to try to keep that money. You have to meet certain criteria.
Yes.
And you can have a life insurance policy with that as a rider, right?
Yes.
So you can have all that included. Can you tell us about the IUL? Now tell us a little bit about the IUL. And the reason I'm asking you that is because in the book Unshakable, I'm just reading up on some more finances. People like Warren Buffett, and then you have Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins was able to interview 50 of the world's top financial advisors in a book he did earlier on money called Money Master the Game. And so he has a follow-up book to that. And with some of the same individuals, Warren Buffett, there's a comment in there, Warren Buffett gave a little competition between the hedge fund and index funds. And he said index funds will win basically any given time. And the best thing for a consumer, if you're out there, if you are not educated in finances, the best thing you can do to match the market is to get into something with index funds. So I'm saying that to ask you to go into, and this is not investment, advice or anything, but we're just talking right now, giving you some education. You can go and research for yourself, adding value to you. Tell us about the Index Universal Life. Tell us about that insurance plan. And I'm asking that because did you know there's a whole book written up just on that plan?
Wow.
There's a whole book just on that plan, because in the 80s it was called a slurp. And this is what the wealthy do. What we do, they're slurp. It's called a supplemental life insurance retirement plan, SLIRP. And people use insurance, the wealthy use insurance to supplement their retirement. So can you slide, I'm going to use that as a segue. Tell us about this Index Universal Life policy that a lot of people probably have never heard of.
Okay. So Index Universal Life policies, they usually have what's called a cap. They usually have what's called a floor. They do grow with the indexes. The thing with them is that they have 4 quadrants. Okay, it's 4 squares within. Did I say that right? Quadrant.
4 quadrants. Yeah. 4 quadrants.
Okay.
4 squares. Yeah.
So what they have is they have what's called growth. Okay, and so that's going to be a cap. A lot of times it could be 15%, 25%, which means that with the indexes, your money that you're putting into the policy can grow up to that cap. Okay, then you have safety in another box. Okay, and the safety means that you have a floor of a 0% or a 0.75% on some cases. And that floor, even if the indexes were to go down, your money, you don't lose a cent of your money. Even though the
market falls, and then it crashes, you still gain.
You still gain.
Okay?
So
you get safety.
So you have growth, now you have safety, and then the third box is going to have what's called tax advantage. So there's tax advantages with this Index Universal Life. The tax advantages are going to be, you have tax-free withdrawals, tax-free death benefit, you have tax-free loans, and then you have, in the other box, you have protection. And in the protection, you have the death benefit, okay? You also have riders such as critical illness, terminal illness, or long-term care, okay? And some of those are actually living benefits that you can utilize while you're still alive. So if you were to get sick, can't go to work, your policy starts working for you and gives you a percentage that you can use to supplement your income, but to pay for your medical, whatever's going on during those months while you're recovering.
And see, and that's awesome. I'm going to tell you like this. And see, this is why that just really was important to me being in the military, because retiring from the military, I get a retirement check. I will get a disability check. But in addition to that, if I'm building and when I get older, I will still have those incomes coming in, plus a third retirement check from my second job continuing on, and I will have cash value built up if I need to supplement my income. So I'll be like my father. My father has about 4 checks coming in right now because he retired from the military. He gets disability, he gets the Social Security check, and he gets a second retirement check from the government in addition to his current job he works. And so for the average individual, you talk about residual income, sometimes we skip over, I'm getting a retirement disability, I'll be getting, Social Security might not be there, right? But I'll be getting multiple forms of income coming into my life. But this is something, if I'm hearing you correctly, it's an option to have another stream of income come in. It's tax-free money.
Yes, because it has a cash value as well. So the Index Universal Life, they'll grow, it'll grow your cash value, and you'll have an accumulated value that you can actually start to touch whenever you need it. So it could be used as an emergency fund. It could be used as a supplement to your retirement. It could be used, you can use it any way you want to use it, and it does have those tax advantages associated with it. So an Index Universal Life is a very good option if you're looking for growth, safety, tax advantage, and protection.
And that's a new plan if some people have not heard about that, Index Universal Life, because a lot of people just hear about term. I know there's a company I worked with in the past and they say go term and invest the difference. And one of the problems with that is everybody's not going to invest money on their own terms. And so they're supposed to invest, but they don't. People need to get educated as far as the importance of investing, the importance of what's going on in our future and in the economic background right now, so that they can get what's the word I want to use? They can get what's the word when you're lazy on something, but when you're not lazy, we're complacent. So we want to move on from being complacent, urgency, to getting urgent about getting a policy, knowing why they need to have a policy, and why work hard. What is it? They say we work 40 years. We work 40 years only to try to retire on nothing, but we slave for those 40 years.
Yes.
Instead of building and working for ourselves.
Yes, that's one of the things that we teach is that people work so hard all of their lives but retire poor. And it's because what you just mentioned, we teach people that multiple sources of income is the wisest thing to do for your future. So you need to have multiple sources of income coming in when you're getting ready to retire or when you're in retirement years, because that multiple sources of income or those multiple sources of income are going to be the way you're going to live, and it dictates how you live.
Exactly. And this is awesome, and that's why I love World System Builder, because this is an awesome opportunity. It was an awesome opportunity for me, and I don't know about you, and I know it's an awesome opportunity for you too, right? To be able to bring in some more income or be able to join a campaign where we're passionate about what we're doing. We have the vision of the company, the vision of our CEO, the vision of the leader, and to be able to educate and campaign. And that's why we're doing this podcast. And I want to thank you for being on this podcast, because it being Life Insurance Awareness Month, I don't really feel I'm really being a campaigner unless I'm maximizing, every opportunity. And I think social media is a huge, I don't know, what do you think? I think social media is a huge opportunity to maximize,
absolutely,
the platforms to be able to share information. And so that's why we're doing this podcast. You've been listening to Saving Your Future podcast with Calvin Ward, and today our special guest was Vanessa Valdez. We're recording this live right from the El Paso WSB Financial Center in El Paso, Texas. Thank you for tuning in. And if someone sent you this link for you to listen to and get information, you need to go contact them and say, look, tell me more about WSB. Tell me more about financial education. Tell me more about my insurance policy, or tell them, listen, I need an insurance policy. So you need to get back with the person that sent you this link so they can help you out, and kudos to you. Any last thoughts there, Vanessa? Any last comments?
Just thank you very much for listening, and thank you, Calvin Ward, for having me.
Awesome. Until next time.